You hand the barista an extra $1.50 for a splash of plant milk. I used to do this every single morning. You know, you pay the premium because you think it keeps your arteries clean. But go to the grocery store, grab that exact same carton from the fridge, flip it around to the barcode side, read the fine print. You are actively paying for tap water mixed with industrial seed oils, lab-made thickeners, and sugar. Today, we're ripping the label off 5 massive nut milk brands that are quietly wrecking your gut. And we're starting with a massive brand that literally had to defend their ingredients in a New York federal court. Look, this is the default almond milk for almost everyone. It has those beautiful, water-splashed almonds right on the front. But back in 2015, angry customers filed a massive class action lawsuit against Blue Diamond. They actually broke down the math of a standard 64-ounce carton. Do you know how many real almonds are inside that giant box? 2%. 2%! So what is taking up the other 98% of the box? Water and a cheap thickening gum called carrageenan. They have to pump the water full of this stuff just to fake that creamy texture. Here is why you should care. When scientists want to test anti-inflammatory drugs in a lab, they actually inject mice with carrageenan first, because it is guaranteed to trigger severe gut inflammation. Yeah, they use it to purposefully give mice bowel disease. And you are pouring it over your morning Cheerios. If your stomach randomly bloats by 2 p.m., this carton might be exactly why. Okay, so maybe you skipped the almonds. You went for the trendy stuff in the hipster coffee shops, which brings us to number 4. I know, it tastes amazing. I was honestly addicted to this stuff for a year. But in 2021, an investment group called Spruce Point Capital published a 124-page investigative report on Oatly. They exposed a lot, but here is the part that changed everything for me. Look at the ingredient list. Right after the oat base, you don't find a health food. You find rapeseed oil, industrial seed oil. But wait, actually, it gets worse. To turn solid oats into liquid milk, Oatly uses a heavy chemical enzyme process. This process breaks the oats down into a specific type of sugar called maltose. Maltose has a glycemic index of 105. That is significantly higher than pure white table sugar. So when you grab an Oatly latte at 8 a.m., you are blasting your bloodstream with a sugar spike worse than a Snickers bar, and you're chasing it with inflammatory seed oils. You are literally building belly fat and triggering insulin resistance before you even get to the office. Are you guys ready for the next one? Because this next brand charges $6 a box and specifically targets the keto diet crowd. Okay, this one always sits on the top shelf. It's got that perfectly clean, aesthetic design, right? You know the vibe. You're dropping like $7 for one carton because you think you're buying a premium superfood. I used to buy this exact stuff. I really thought it was the ultimate health hack. But wait, actually, let's do the math on the back of the box. Yes, there are actual macadamia nuts in here. But look at the very next ingredient on the list, sugar. If you check the nutrition facts, they are dumping 7 grams of sugar into every single 8-ounce glass. I mean, you're paying top dollar for heart-healthy fats, and they are basically serving you a melted candy bar. But honestly, here is the part that makes me genuinely angry. Look at the very last ingredient, dipotassium phosphate. They took a premium nut and pumped it full of an inorganic lab chemical. Why? Just so the liquid doesn't separate and look clumpy when it sits in a warehouse for 6 months. Eating a handful of raw macadamia nuts actively lowers your bad cholesterol. But drinking a glass of this, you are actively flushing your arteries with vascular calcifying phosphates and xanthan gum. You aren't drinking a superfood. You're just drinking a highly processed science experiment. All right, let's step away from the nut milks entirely. Let's talk about coconuts. I used to buy the carton version of this for my smoothies all the time. It says organic, it pours out perfectly pure white. But here's a reality check. Have you ever blended real coconut meat and water? It is never bright glowing white, and if you leave it in the fridge, it separates. It looks kinda grassy and clumpy. So how does So Delicious keep it looking perfectly white on a supermarket shelf for 6 months? Whitening agents. Specifically, the industry often relies on a chemical compound called titanium dioxide. Sometimes they just hide it on the label under the phrase color added. Guys, in 2022, the European Union literally banned titanium dioxide as a food additive. They banned it because it has the potential to cause DNA mutations. But the FDA? They still let them pump it into your food. Titanium dioxide exists as nanoparticles. When you drink it, your stomach acid can't break it down. These microscopic particles settle in your gut and start tearing tiny holes in your intestinal lining. It's called leaky gut syndrome. You drink this for health, and it's actively letting undigested food and toxins leak directly into your bloodstream. Which brings us to the absolute worst offender on the list, the final boss of fake milk. I mean, the name tells you exactly what it isn't, but they market this stuff like it's a tech miracle. They literally brag about using artificial intelligence algorithms to recreate the exact taste and color of cow's milk. And honestly, it tastes freakishly close. But at what physical cost to your body? Read the label. It doesn't read like food. It reads like a chemistry lab experiment. To trick your taste buds, this AI mixed cabbage juice, pineapple juice, sunflower oil, and, here is the terrifying part, dipotassium phosphate. Why is that in there? So the fake milk doesn't curdle and look gross when you pour it into a hot cup of coffee. You might be thinking, well, phosphorus is a mineral, right? I need that. Wait, actually, no. This is an inorganic phosphate. Your body absorbs these synthetic phosphates at almost 100%. It instantly spikes the phosphorus levels in your blood. And when that happens, it literally binds to the walls of your blood vessels and starts calcifying them. It turns your flexible, healthy arteries into stiff plastic tubes. If you're over 35, drinking this stuff every morning is just begging for cardiovascular stress. It forces your kidneys to work overtime just to filter out the chemicals. Look, you do not have to drink a science experiment just to avoid dairy. If you want real nut milk, buy raw organic almonds. Soak them overnight, blend them with filtered water. It takes 3 minutes, and it actually protects your heart instead of destroying it. The food industry is betting everything on the fact that you are just too busy to read the fine print. But plant milk isn't the only thing they're faking in your breakfast routine. If you think the milk aisle is a scam, wait until you see what they are doing to your bread. In the next video, I'm exposing 5 healthy whole wheat breads that are literally just highly processed junk food dyed brown with molasses. You're going to want to check your pantry for that one. Hit subscribe, and I'll see you over there.